let's talk about the Detroit Lions. The Lions have really had a very interesting draft to begin with, but I think the theme of it to take away is every single pick that they have gotten seems like a really, really good football player, and that's no different than the guy that we are talking about that we think is a steal the Lions got at the very end of the draft.
Yeah, Miles, when we found this guy, I thought it was a great weapon to add to the Lions roster. I think Detroit fans will really come to appreciate this guy. But before we get to this report, Lions fans, we got a question for you guys, as always, to answer in the comment section below. Give us your favorite pick of this past draft. We're about a week away from the draft now. You've had a chance to digest all these moves like we always do. We're curious what your thoughts are. Give us who you think the best pick the Lions have made in the comments below. And make sure you stay tuned to the end of today's video to hear a word from our partner of today's video. And then, of course, is Neuro. They got a great product that gives you a fast and easy energy boost. I use it all the time. So please, if you're looking for an energy solution, stay tuned to the end of today's video to hear a word from Neuro. But all right, Miles, what you got? What's going on in Detroit?
Yeah, Nick. So whether you think it's questionable or not, the fact of the matter is through the beginning of the draft, the Lions made picks where they're all extremely good football players. You see Jahmyr Gibbs, great football player. Jack Campbell, linebacker out of Iowa, great football player. Sam Laporta, tight end out of Iowa, great football player. Brian Branch, Hendon Hooker, etc., etc. It goes all the way down, Nick, to the very bottom, the last pick that the Lions had in the 7th round, number pick 219 overall. That is a selection of North Carolina wide receiver Antoine Green. Green has very, very good size. He's 6'2", about 200 pounds. So he's elite in that level. Let me go ahead and pull up the article about Green right now. University of North Carolina wide receiver Antoine Green was selected 219th overall in the 7th round by the Detroit Lions. Green is the 18th North Carolina wide receiver selected and the 250th Tar Heel chosen in the NFL draft. But Nick, I really like this guy. I think he's a very sneaky good pick, and the Lions have been really good at getting some homegrown wide receiver talent lately. They've been picking out guys left and right that seem really good. You look at Amon-Ra St. Brown, that guy looks like an absolute stud. And I have some interesting takes here, Nick, over from DetroitLions.com. Tim Twentyman, it's a mouthful of a name, gave a very good analysis of Green. Says Green is a big body receiver. He's 6'2", 199 pounds, very explosive. They love the 4.47 40, 33.5-inch vertical jump. But here's the kicker, Nick. He's an outside vertical specialist in that Phil Longo offense last year. He averaged 19 yards per reception over his 5-year career with the Tar Heels. So that seems like another good vertical threat to put on the outside with Jameson Williams. I think it's going to be a very interesting tool in the Lions tool belt. What do you think about Green as a selection for the Lions?
I think it's a really smart move, and maybe the smartest move out of any team I saw making day 3 of the NFL draft. And there were a lot of really smart moves. We've already talked about a number of them. And here's why. In the short term, the first half of the 2023 campaign, the Lions have a clear and obvious problem. Jameson Williams will not be playing. They're hoping he's going to be a fully developed guy back to what he looked like he could be coming out of Alabama. But unfortunately, with the gambling things, he's going to be missing some time. So the Lions need a big play threat. They need a guy to step in early on to be able to be a viable big play threat to complement this offense. They really have been looking for Jameson Williamson to be Jameson Williamson become, which I think he eventually will be, but obviously he won't be while he's suspended. So you look at a guy in Brown, who was a big play threat in college, right? I think he averaged, like you said, 19 yards a catch last year, averaged 18 yards a catch the year before. Big play guy, big body, good 40, good vertical. He can do everything you want from a challenging the defense down the field perspective. But here's why I really like this pick. This guy is mature. He was a 5-year player at the University of North Carolina. The reason he got 5 years of eligibility, I think the COVID year in 2020 gave a lot of players basically the option to take an extra year. He has another good year at North Carolina, gets drafted by the Detroit Lions. So this is a guy who's 22, 23, 24 years old. He's a mature guy. He's run a complex offense at Phil Longo. He's been catching passes from a future NFL quarterback in May at the University of North Carolina. So what does all this mean? It means he's ready to come in and contribute day one in this Detroit Lions offense. He's experienced in a complicated offense. Phil Longo's offense, his air raid complex, is much more complicated than a lot of other college football teams. He's got all the NFL physical tools, and plus he has the experience as a big play threat. You also love a guy who has this competitiveness, right? He could have left early. He wants to come back for his 5th year and compete and try and win a title with North Carolina. It didn't work out. They had a kind of a disappointing season, but he wanted to come back even though he could have been drafted last year. So no matter how you look at it, you got a guy in Brown who's ready to come in day one and help bridge the gap between Jameson Williams gets off the suspension and contributes to this team. And then even when Williams comes back, you do have a quality depth guy, or at least another big vertical triple threat. From all of those reasons, this was a really outstanding pick by Holmes and company for the Detroit Lions. I think people are really sleeping on this move because I think at least the early part of the 2023 season, you're going to be hearing this guy's name a lot.
Yeah, Nick, one final point I want to bring up. What you said really sparked this into my memory. So this is a guy who played in a unique outside vertical schemed offense, who's a young quarterback that maybe potentially just got drafted by the Lions, who played in a very similar vertical S system in Tennessee. Hendon Hooker, that could be a very interesting matchup to see going forward. Maybe a comfort pick for a guy like Hendon Hooker to see if he has what it takes.
All right, Miles, we would like to give a special thanks to our partner in today's video, Neuro.
That's right, Nick. And I want you to go with me on a journey really fast. I want you to imagine this. It's 4th and goal in the big game, Nick. Your team is relying on you to make the big time game winning play. I know you've been in this situation before, Nick. The stadium is roaring. The clock is ticking. The game is on the line. But if only in that moment you were able to have some Neuro Gum. Neuro Gum will help you stay concentrated, and it gives you a burst of energy without a nasty crash.
That's right, Miles. Neuro has thoughtfully curated ingredients and does endless lab testing, which means that you can reach the right state of mind safely and consistently. That's the most important part. It gives you a clean burst of energy and focus without the jitters of coffee or any of those other energy drinks.
That's right, Nick. And if you click our sponsor link in the description below, you can enjoy energy, calm, and focus whenever you need it.